Hey everybody, real quick, before we get into the season 3 recap of the morning show, if you need a season 2 recap, I've got you covered. Just hit the tab in the upper right hand corner. It'll take you right to it. I also have a season 1 and 2 recap. I combined both. You can just search my page for that one. Season 3 of the morning show kicks off in March 2022. Basically 2 years after the end of season 2 of the morning show. A lot has changed. Alex is no longer a full-time fixture on the morning show. She's a contributor. She shows up a few times a week. But now, her show Alex Unfiltered has been carrying UBA+. She does hard-hitting interviews, and that's what's been driving subscribers. But Alex has had to put that to the side because she's been training for a mission to go up into space with a billionaire named Paul Marks, who owns a company called Hyperion. Hyperion has built a rocket to send people into space to see what the astronauts see. His test flight is going to include Alex Levy. UBA is going to cover it all. As for Bradley, she's now doing evening news. Both of their roles have been filled with Yanko Flores, who's wanted this for a long time, and a former Olympian named Christina Hunter. She's kind of the total package. She's America's sweetheart, but she's also really, really good at her job. This has allowed Bradley to focus on more serious topics, which is what she's always wanted to do. And the topic she's currently trying to dive into is the abortion ban in Texas. Bradley's been able to connect with a woman who's been going over the border to get abortion medication to bring it over to the States for women who need it. She wants to bring her on and interview her, but it's been difficult to connect. But just like with Alex Unfiltered, Bradley has thrived in the role of evening news. So much so that she's getting an award because of her coverage of the January 6th insurrection. Bradley was actually boots on the ground filming it, and she gave viewers a first-hand look at what was going on in the Capitol, risking her own life to do so. One person, though, who is noticeably absent from UBA is Laura. She's actually gone over to YOA, working hand-in-hand with the former enemy, Audra. But other than that, everybody's still there. And everybody's under the guidance of Cory. Not only is he still running UBA, he's trying to sell it off. And he's trying to do so to Paul Marks. Yeah, this whole Alex going up in space thing, it wasn't just for publicity. It wasn't just for the content. It was to buddy up with Paul Marks. Cory and Paul have been talking for a while about Paul buying UBA, but at the moment, they're at a standstill. They can't agree on price. The two guys meet in a sauna and they try to convince themselves that they both need each other, but still, no deal is reached. Nobody, though, other than Paul and Cory know about this merger. To everybody working at UBA, the Alex Levy launch into space is nothing more than content. Going up into space, though, on some rocket's maiden voyage has Alex a little bit on edge. And every time she does try to contact Cory, she can't get a hold of him. So finally, she gets sick of it, and the day before the launch, she heads up to his office to have a one-on-one with him. That's where he lets her know that he's actually going to be going with her. He got invited by Paul Marks. But she didn't really come here to discuss the passengers on Hyperion 1. She came with demands. She wants to double her development slate. She wants profit participation, and most importantly, she wants a seat on the board. She feels like she's earned it. She's the main fixture at UBA. She single-handedly saved UBA+, and she's risking her life going up into this rocket. Cory is a little taken aback, and he lets her know that what she's asking for is unprecedented. And Alex says, well, I'm unprecedented. And if things don't change, I'll simply go elsewhere. She starts to walk out of the room, and Cory stops her and says, Alex, I hear you, and I will make you very, very happy. Once Alex actually does walk out of the room, Cory has a meeting with the second most powerful woman at UBA, Sybil. The third most powerful woman at UBA is also in this meeting, Stella. Sybil actually called the meeting because she's gotten word from a bunch of heads and departments that Cory's been cost-cutting. And she feels like he's been cost-cutting to feed UBA+. In doing so, he's been drowning UBA in debt, and it's got Sybil pretty concerned. Stella jumps in and says, we can make this work, but I do want to sit down and talk about next quarter's projections because they're worse than we thought. Sybil tells Stella that she absolutely wants to look over those projections so she can get the expectations ready for the board. Cory and Stella leave the meeting together, and Stella tells Cory, well, Sybil's right about one thing. Our financials are horrible. I mean, do we need to talk about layoffs? And Cory brushes it to the side, telling her, don't get your LinkedIn ready just yet. Stella then heads down and has a conversation with Bradley, where she lets her know that Bradley's going to have to get rid of the abortion piece. Bradley, of course, does not take this well. She's been cultivating this source for a while. To find out that she just has to brush the story to the side and get rid of it doesn't sit well with her. Stella tries to remind Bradley that now she's doing evening news, she has to be unbiased. And because of her past, this could be looked at as a biased piece. It's also a hot-button topic. This woman is breaking the law by crossing the border to get illegal drugs, bring them over to the States. It opens UBA up to possible advertiser boycotts. It's just not worth it. Bradley's still really pissed off about this. And Stella hammers home that with this next election coming up, they need the viewers to be able to trust Bradley Jackson. Doing this piece might put doubt into some viewers' minds if they can do that or not. Later that night, Bradley has her award ceremony, and she should be happy about it, but because of the abortion piece getting sidelined, she's pissed off. Even as she walks the red carpet, it's tough for her to muster a smile. She is surprised, though, to see somebody in attendance. Her old flame, Laura. It's a little bit awkward. Bradley at one point telling Laura, this doesn't have to be weird. I'm not mad or anything. And Laura chuckles and says, why would you be? I mean, if you had stayed in Montana with me, none of this would have happened. This sparks a little bit of an argument. Bradley telling Laura that she didn't want her to stay in Montana. And Laura reminding Bradley that Bradley pushed her away. The conversation is getting nowhere until finally Bradley just excuses herself to go get another drink. The person that Bradley really wants to talk to, who she hasn't had a chance to, is Cory. She's been waiting at the bar for him to show up, and when he finally does, she rips into him for sidelining her abortion piece. Cory reminds Bradley that news is Stella's department. He just doesn't interfere with the stories. So what Stella says goes. And Bradley asks, would you interfere if we were together? Is that what it would take? Cory, however, does not take the bait. He just grabs a drink and walks off. Because of her mood, when she finally does get presented with this award, Bradley kind of chucks her speech to the side. Just telling the audience, there will always be someone who tries to silence you. Alex, who presented Bradley with the award, can tell that something's going on with her. And their relationship has gotten a lot better. So Alex, as a friend, goes up to Bradley and kind of asks what's going on. And Bradley explains that she cultivated these relationships with a woman in Texas about the abortion problem, but the story got sidelined by Stella. Alex, though, does take Stella's side, but she does so in a way that isn't as confrontational. She tells Bradley that she's evening news. She's Dan Rather. You can't rock the boat with a story like this. Bradley looks at Alex and says, I just want my work to mean something. And Alex reminds her about all the big things that are coming up in the news. Supreme Court rulings, presidential elections. That work is going to matter. For the moment, you have to let this one go to enjoy those big stories. When she leaves the party, she calls up her contact down in Texas and says, I'm sorry, I'm not going to be able to make it. But a couple people who are heading to Texas are Alex and the entire morning show crew, because that is where Hyperion 1 is launching from. Shortly after arriving, they attend a party where Alex is formally introduced to Paul. Paul wants to get a one-on-one with Alex, so he takes her on a tour of the facility. But the reason why he wants to show her around is because he wants to get to know her if he's going to buy UBA. Alex, though, thinks there's an ulterior motive going on, and she asks him point blank, what are you getting out of all this? Because Alex has no idea about Paul's interest in buying UBA. Paul doesn't know that Alex doesn't know, so he says, well, if I'm going to buy UBA, I want to get to know you. And the fact that this is the first time that Alex is hearing about a deal between Paul Marks and UBA really pisses her off, to the point where she kind of shuts down. When she gets back to the hotel, she confronts Cory about it. And Cory tells her, you're out of your lane, but she says, no, screw my lane. You're pimping me out on a rocket ship so you can close a deal. This is exactly why I need to be a part of these conversations. And Cory loses his cool, screaming at her that they need somebody with deep pockets, just like Paul Marks, to stay afloat in this economy. Alex, though, doesn't see it like that. She doesn't agree, and she realizes He hasn't told Sybil any of this. The frustration for Alex, though, can only go so far at the moment since she is in Texas. The person she vents to is, of course, Chip. But while venting, she gets a text message from Bradley that says that her contact, Luna, got arrested, and Bradley's not going to sit back and allow her to sit in a jail cell. She's planning on heading to Texas, and she wants Alex's help on getting a camera operator to report on it. Alex, though, has a better idea. Instead of Bradley going, she's going to go. She's going to blow off the Hyperion 1 launch, sending a clear message to Cory, and she's going to go report on Luna's arrest. The morning show staff starts scrambling, trying to find out where Alex is, and then pivoting to just finding an Alex replacement for the Hyperion launch. The person they decide on is Bradley. Cory meets her at the airport and explains there's nothing that Bradley can do for Luna at this point. He's called the legal department. They're going to help her out. But in return, he needs Bradley to get on that rocket ship. And he pulls a pretty big trump card, reminding her how he was there for her when she was trying to find Hal. When the morning show goes live a few hours later, they make an excuse for Alex, and Bradley is getting suited up. But Paul Marks is pissed because he took what Alex did as a slight to him, not as a slight to Cory. That's because Alex never cleared up that her problem wasn't with him. It was the fact that she was unaware of a potential deal between Paul and UBA. And thus, Paul isn't too thrilled to see Bradley show up at Command Center. Either way, the rocket still has to go up. Everybody climbs inside and it takes off. Alex and Chip watch from a small Texas diner. When the rocket finally reaches space, the view is incredible. When it's safe, Bradley, Paul, Cory, they're all able to float around and enjoy the experience, with millions of people down on Earth watching it live. Bradley's able to talk to the morning show and explain what she's seeing up there, what she's experiencing, and then the feed goes dark. Thank you so much for checking out this recap. Please consider subscribing to the channel and subscribing to my Patreon. Hit thumbs up if you liked it. Smash that thumbs down button if you thought it sucked. If you left a comment, I don't get back to you. I usually don't check the comments unless they're like a super comment. Also, if you don't see the next video up on the end screen, not to worry, it'll be up in a day or two.